Yes, you're watching the South Australian Sports Show. Time to turn our attention to basketball, and none better than the great man, Body Nudge, to talk basketball. Joins us now, mate. Firstly, happy in retirement? Are you missing the advertiser at all?
Not one iota. The only thing I miss is a little banter that you have with other journalists and the mucking around of the day-to-day before you get to your work, and the fact that everybody keeps your feet on the ground. You can never get too full of yourself. But beyond that, no, I'm not missing the deadlines. I'm not missing, waking up to an alarm clock. No, not at all. Not one bit. And I'm loving the basketball.
But you still love, exactly right, mate. We're still loving the basketball. You've got your own blog now. You can get onto Body Nudge on the website, and all the advertising over there. There's a little bit of basketball in there. Mate, this year has been another jump in exposure for the game. It's on. You could nearly not watch it now. SBS have got it. Fox have got it. It's everywhere.
ABC TV.
Are we taking advantage of that?
I'm not sure, because look, for me the thing has always been, let's get the stadiums full. Let's make sure that Perth's got 13,000 consistently, and they do. That Adelaide has 8,000 consistently, and it has 6,000 definitely consistently. The Hisense Arena where United play, that they fill up. That's what I'd like to see first, and then when that happens, I think it's much easier to get sponsors. It's much easier to just grow the game, because people are there. You can just point out to a sponsor or a corporate, look at this atmosphere, get involved. So I don't think we're capitalising as much as we should be, because let's look at the NBA. We've got such a high presence in the NBA now, 7, 8 players, and we've got Ben Simmons, who is going to be the first Australian bona fide male megastar of the NBA.
It certainly looks that way,
doesn't it? All things staying equal. He doesn't get hurt or anything, because we had high hopes for Dante Exum too, and he's had two really severe injuries. So all things being equal, Simmons is on that path of the LeBron James, and we haven't been able to boast someone like that since Lauren Jackson in the women. So yeah, I'm not sure we're getting enough in mainstream media, enough attention for what is actually happening. But the coverage is amazing. You can't really miss a game. And on the weekends, as you say, it's not just on pay TV, it's also on SBS. Friday night there's a replay on ABC as well, which I just caught by accident one week when I was flipping around. Everyone was going to bed. I thought, my God, it's on ABC TV as well. I'd forgotten about that. So it's great.
Yeah, I read an article on the weekend where it was the first time, and the journalist writing it was saying it's the first time he can remember since the 80s that people were lining up outside Hisense Arena, and there was a long line to get into the game. He's saying maybe the game is starting to turn. So if that starts to happen, then things start to get a little bit better. Perth, you mentioned, they've always been solid for forever. Sydney has always been the one where they talk, if Sydney does well, then the league does well. I've always disputed that, because when Brian had them, they won championships, their crowds actually decreased and exposure was no different. Yeah. So that's not necessarily the case. They're struggling a bit at the moment. Is that being kind?
That is being very generous. Sydney is terrible. They've recruited all the wrong sort of players in their import spots. They got an injury to Kevin Lishier. They're in the doldrums, and I can't see how they get out of that unless they make a couple of import changes, which is on the cards. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you completely about that myth that Sydney has to be successful for the league to be successful. Sydney has to have a presence, because there's a lot of corporate sponsorship in that city, of course. So they have to have a presence in our league, but whether they finish first or whether they finish 8th makes no difference. They played against the Utah Jazz in the pre-season, and let's face it, where did they finish last year? I think they finished 7th in the league. Yeah. So there's no correlation between them being successful and the league being successful. What the correlation is that we've got a presence, because there was a couple of years where we didn't have the Sydney Kings in, and where Sydney Razorbacks had fallen over and there was no presence, and at that time the league started to struggle and head downhill, and that's because corporates didn't want to get involved. If we haven't got a team in the major city in the country, what sort of league is this? Yes. And it was similar with Brisbane. Even though we had teams in Cairns, and Townsville still do in Cairns, they needed Brisbane, the capital of the state, to have a team for the league to really look as substantial as it should. And it does. It's getting there slowly. Small steps.
All right, let's talk about our team, the Adelaide 36ers. It was an interesting weekend. A coach ejected from a game, some saying that he did it to inspire his players, some saying little bit out of control? What's your take on it?
I thought the first technical foul that he got when he had been working the referees all game. I actually thought he was a little bit agitated and aggressive all game, which to me is a sign of a coach that really wants to win this game. That was really important in that game. And so therefore I think it sometimes tend to blow things out of proportion. You get a call that is not the greatest call. Suddenly it's the worst call in the world, and it all sort of accelerates.
More emotive than normal.
Yeah, and you could hear him during the game. He was saying to the refs, in the pre-season, you told us that if you have two hands on as a defender, that's an automatic foul. And they had two hands on.
I'm clearly on Joey's side on this.
I know. Yeah. And that's the point he was trying to make. He says, look, you're not calling it that way. You're not calling it that. He kept on insisting, and then it just got to that point where the 36ers, who have so many slashes, and by that I mean guys that get to the basket, so therefore they get fouled a lot. Your Mitch Creeks, your Sobies, guys like that, get to the hoop, that means they get to the foul line. And he was complaining towards the end of the third quarter that really they'd only been to the foul line 12 times in the game. He got himself thrown out, then they got to the foul line 14 times in the last quarter. So the refereeing did change. But I don't think tactically that was the smartest move. I think when he got his first technical foul, that may have had the effect that he wanted. But then to go on with it and get your second one, which means you're going to get tossed, I thought that was a little bit undisciplined, and I thought that was unprofessional and didn't help his team. The first one may have, but the second one certainly doesn't.
Daniel Johnson looks like he's taken his game up another level in some areas this year. Agree or disagree?
Yeah,
or not sold yet. Too early.
Not sold, because offensively he's such a powerful player, but I think he's too emotionally connected to his offense. So if he's having a bad offensive game, he's not making his first few shots, then sometimes he doesn't make that first step that he needs to defensively, or maybe he didn't box out on this occasion. His game degenerates because he's too emotionally connected to scoring. And I think he's mentally, that's where he needs work, really. Physically he's fine, but he needs some work mentally. Example, case in point, they played Cairns on the Thursday or Friday. I think he got 32 points. They came in on the next game. He was 0 from 10. Against Melbourne United. He didn't make a shot the next game. So obviously he was feeling great about himself. He thought he could throw up anything, and now they're not dropping, and his game and his demeanour changed. And so I'd like to see him a little more consistent at the defensive end. I'd like to see him block a shot here and there, take a charge. Have you seen him take a charge?
No, physically he's capable. He's got a little bit of that European game about him, though, that I like, and I don't know, parts of it fit into the system and other parts don't, but I certainly support your stuff on mentally. He could be a little bit tougher. Yeah. Mitch Creeks had a lot of basketball in the last 18 months or so, and still seems to be playing some pretty good basketball. I was really impressed with Mitch in the game against Melbourne on Sunday when everything was going wrong. I'm not sure if Joey had been thrown out at this stage or he was about to get thrown out, but Mitch took a three-point attempt from the top corner of the court, right in front of the Melbourne bench. He couldn't have been any deeper in the court. He took the shot, it missed, it hit the back of the ring and it bounced out, and they went down on a fast break. And Mitch ran it down. Yeah. From that point, he ran it down. He ran it past four other 36ers players, two of them that had just got over centre, and the other two we didn't even see in the vision. He ran it down, and that sort of intensity and effort, he's bringing all the time, which is why he plays in spurts and needs to sit down, because he's putting so much energy into it. Yeah. But if a few of the other guys, when the things are going bad, adopted that mentality rather than the, okay, we'll pack up now, we'll get you next time mentality, there's still chances to win this game. There was still a chance to win that game on Sunday, or Saturday, sorry. And unfortunately, they don't all have that same level of intensity that Mitch brings. I love where he's gone. Yeah. He's definitely grown as a player and as a leader. Off the court, he's still the same bloke, but on the court, he's definitely matured and he's got good things ahead. Mate, we could stay on the Lightning, on the Sixers. Well, I want to get to the Lightning. How have you seen their
I love the Lightning. I think they've been fantastic. Yep. They won 3 games last year, and I think they're already at they were at 5-1 prior to the weekend.
Chris Lucas has done a pretty good job recruiting.
and
getting healthy himself.
Yeah. You know what happened to Chris in the after he won the gold medal at the World Uni Games with the emerging opals. He had to come home early because of his cancer scare. They've been phenomenal, and to gel so quickly is the amazing thing, because they didn't get too many preseason
Laura
games.
Hodges with a finger injury.
Yeah, and it was terrible.
It is a nasty.
Did you see the X-rays that we ran at the website?
Yeah.
Like the finger was sort of over here.
Yeah,
it was definitely.
I'm saying it's not like Laura's an average player. She's one of their main players. They've still been able to continue to win. Without her, if she'd have gone down last year, it would have gone Oh my God.
Oh yeah, exactly. But the thing with Laura is the capacity in which they were using her coming off the bench made her an impact player still.
Yes.
You know, I mean, she's on the dark side of 33, and other things in life are just around the corner. So she wasn't in the starting lineup, but the capacity in which they were using her. Yeah. Well, Colleen Planetta, who's now playing as a permanent resident, as an import, is filling that role and doing pretty well. But yeah, Laura was a bit of a loss, but Abby Bishop was such a gain.
Yes.
Such an extraordinary gain. She's just a phenomenal player. 2015 MVP of the league and certainly leads by example. And some of these other kids like Natalie Novosel, her ability to steal the ball and her vision off the ball is exciting to watch. Nikki Seekamp, kid from the Riverland, come back after a successful college career, some time in Poland. And yeah, it's a really good group to watch, and they're fun to watch, Phil. They move the ball, there's no selfishness. You know, they'll give up a good shot for a great shot with that extra pass. And yeah, they're a lot of fun to watch. I hope they make the playoffs. I think they're around the mark.
Have they been disadvantaged by playing Thursday night games?
They've been disadvantaged from the point of view that not enough people will go on a Thursday night.
Well,
that's it. So they're playing in front of not an empty stadium.
But you kind of feel that they've got a good team. They're fun to watch. If they were a Saturday night, Saturday afternoon, or a Sunday afternoon, there'd be a decent crowd in to watch them. Thursday night, the Sixers even struggle. Yeah, by comparison, to get a big crowd.
They had a Wednesday night game a couple of weeks ago, so you know I'm not sure, you know, whether it was a team of monkeys that sort of battled out to do the draw. I don't know how they worked it out.
Unless it's TV.
well, and the thing is, with TV, they only get one TV game. That's I think that's on the 9th of December, if I'm not mistaken, against Dandenong. So they've been a little bit unlucky because I think if the public got to see them a bit, they go, oh, this team is actually worth going to watch, and they are. They're fun, they're committed, and they play hard. Yeah, they're a really good side.
Mate, always great to get a chat with you. I wish we could chat for a bit longer, but we need to wrap up the show and get out of here. So I appreciate your time, mate. Hopefully we'll catch up with you later in the year. Stay with us.